So my name's Robin, I'm the nurse. This is Rachel, our vet. And this is Poppy, who is a dog belonging to Esme, one of our other vets. Today what we're going to show you is how to bandage up a dog's paw if they've done something silly. If they've gone outside and they've cut their paw and we need kind of a little bit of a first aid bandage, this is what we're going to show you how to do. Now, this bandage is supposed to be very, very temporary. This is only so that you have enough time to bring the wee one in without them bleeding all over the place if it is bleeding quite a lot, and just to prevent any further damage from them if they do have to walk down or anything. So this is not supposed to be a long-term bandage, okay? Now, we are going to have everything ready to go before we get started because lots of dogs are quite wiggly. This isn't their favourite activity, so it's best to have everything gathered before we get started. What we're going to need is a non-adhesive dressing. Now, I have got a proper non-adhesive dressing here, but if you guys have got a sterile swab or anything at home in a bandaging box somewhere, that is absolutely perfect. I've also got a little padding layer, so this is kind of like a cotton wool roll essentially. So if you guys have got any cotton wool at home, tissue or kitchen roll would work great in a emergency as well. Just a little something to kind of wrap around the foot and the leg and make sure that nothing's going to be rubbing and nothing's going to be too tight. Everything's going to be nice and comfortable, and also to absorb any blood if there is quite a lot there as well. Okay, we've also got some kind of stretchy conforming bandage as well. Now this stuff is very similar to the crepe bandage that you guys might have at home. You can get it from kind of Boots and things. This is what's going to wrap around our foot entirely and really kind of hold our bandage in place. And then we've also got kind of an outer protective layer. This is vet wrap. If you guys have got some at home, then fantastic. If not, it's not a big deal. Like I say, this is a temporary bandage, so it's not going to matter too much. Okay. We've also got a poo bag, which is really just quite useful to wrap over the foot, over the top of the bandage while you bring them in. Gives it a little bit more protection, especially if it's wet outside. It stops the bandage from getting wet as well. Okay, so we're going to go for your front foot, Poppy, and we're just going to get started. So first things first, obviously if your dressing there can be as clean as possible or sterile is really ideal, but we're really just going to cut a little square essentially, just kind of big enough to cover the cut itself, and then we're going to have everything opened out and everything ready to go, especially with Poppy, she's a little bit of a wriggle. Alright, so we're just going to take our little dressing and we're just going to put it right over the cut. Now, Poppy doesn't have a cut on her foot, so we're kind of making this up a little bit, but that's exactly where I imagine she would cut her foot one day. And then we're just going to take our padding layer. Now, like I say, tissues, kitchen roll, anything at all, cotton wool is absolutely fine for this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of wrap this over the foot like this, just so that it protects the toes and it protects the top of the foot as well. We're then going to twist it and start wrapping it around the foot, a little bit more like you would expect a bandage to go. And we're just going to wrap up the way. Now, the best thing to do is to go above the wrist joint, certainly, or the ankle joint if you're on a back leg, and to go really as far up the leg as possible, really almost to the elbow. That just protects it a little bit better and ensures that it stays on a little bit better as well. Okay, you really just want to do one layer of this. You don't want to keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping and wrapping so the foot is really fat. It just creates more friction that way, and like I say, this is a first aid bandage. There's no need for too much padding. We're then going to take our conforming bandage, so crepe bandage if you guys have got it at home, and do the exact same thing. So we're going to wrap over the foot first, again just to hold in all of that padding there, and then we're going to twist it and go around the way again. Now this stuff you can pull fairly tight, best not to, however we really don't want this to be a very tight bandage. We need it to be tight enough to stay on obviously, but we really don't want this very tight at all. So we're just going to again go all the way up to just the top of where the padding layer is. We don't want to keep going past the padding layer, it'll just be uncomfortable. Then all we're going to do is I'm going to have my lovely assistant hold that while I cut this. Now the easiest way to do this, you can tie it, so split it and tie it around the leg if that's easier, But what I have here is actually just a little piece of tape, which tends to be a little bit easier. It just sticks it on quite nicely. There we go. Now I am going to put my protective layer on as well, this vet wrap. Like I say, if you guys don't have this at home, it doesn't really matter. This as a first aid bandage is absolutely fine. We would then just put the poo bag over the top of it and around it to keep it nice and dry, and bring her essentially straight to the vet so we can have a good look at it and make sure that everything's okay. If you do have vet wrap, however, this is always the last thing to go on, and again, it's exactly the same. You just want to go over the foot first. Oh no, I'm very sorry. And then again, twist and go around. Now, if you do have any of this kind of stuff at home, it is very, very important that you don't pull it taut and wrap it around. You really want to unravel it, let it relax, and then wrap it around. So you're really not putting any tension into this layer at all. This stuff will just keep tightening after you've put it on. We really don't want anything to be too tight. It'll just cause more problems than it's worth. So again, pulling it out, letting it relax, and then wrapping it around. And this stuff is quite nice. It sticks to itself, so we don't really need any tape to go over the top. And then we just need to make sure, the final step is that it's not too tight. So the way that we do that is you really just want to be able to fit 2 fingers underneath the bandage at the top, like this. As long as you can, that is absolutely fine. And give it a wee tug as well, just to make sure it doesn't come straight off. It's always easiest to do that now while they're still being held, rather than 5 minutes down the road when they've gotten themselves excited again. But that is that. That is how you apply an emergency bandage.